For joining us here at NewsX World, Major General Retired Sudhakarji there on NewsX World. And with that, viewers, we now shift our focus to news coming in from Israel on the Gaza front. Now, Gaza's health ministry says that Israel has returned the bodies of 15 Palestinian prisoners on 26 November under the US-brokered ceasefire exchange deal. This brings the total number of bodies received to 345. The ministry says the bodies were transferred through the International Committee of the Red Cross. These bodies were returned in exchange for the remains of Dror Or, one of the last 3 deceased Israeli hostages held in the Palestinian territory. Dror Or's body was handed over to Israel on 25th November by Hamas via the International Committee of the Red Cross. And we're now joined in by Sasha Mashta, who is a political commentator. He's joining us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you for joining us, Sasha, here at NewsX World. How do you see this development now?
So I remind you that each hostage, deceased hostage released by Hamas comes in exchange for 15 Palestinian bodies, as stipulated in the agreement. Of course, we're very happy that a new hostage body has been released. The family has been waiting for 2 years for a proper burial and to close the circle and to move on from this painful 2 years. So, of course, this is a significant development. There are only 2 hostage bodies left in Gaza, one non-Israeli and one Israeli citizen. Of course, for us, we do not distinguish between the nationality. Each hostage body is extremely valuable and worth everything, and we cannot give up until both of these bodies are released, and they will be treated equally until the families get the burial they deserve. The situation in Gaza is also very concerning in these days, especially this week, as Hamas is still refusing to disarm, which is the next condition for phase 2, which is essentially Hamas disarmament and leaving the Gaza Strip, which is something until now they've refused to. So we're going to have to see what leverage is going to be used this week and in the coming days to see the next stage of phase 2.
All right. Well, do you think any violation of ceasefire is likely now, or are those chances of violation reduced with the return of the hostage body?
Hamas continues to violate the agreement in 2 ways. One, they continue to hold the bodies of hostages and lie that they don't know where they are. They also, previously with the recent body that was returned, they had announced that they had found the hostage but held onto his body for many hours in violation of the ceasefire. Whenever they find or discover a hostage body, they're supposed to immediately return them. So that's one of the violations. The other is that they continue to send Hamas militant terrorists into the Israeli yellow line side, which is another violation of the ceasefire, and shoot the Israeli soldiers. So this is a concerning violation that we've been seeing frequently since the ceasefire began. However, I don't think that these violations are going to lead to the renewal of the war. Hamas doesn't have the power to launch a full-out war and incursion to Israel, and Israel has no interest in resuming war. What Israel does want is for Hamas to disarm, and hopefully the ISF that was agreed to by the UN Security Council will be formed soon. Countries will be willing, hopefully, to send their troops into Gaza and help in the disarmament. If not, there's also reports coming out of Israel that senior military officials are concerned about Hamas regrouping and rearming. So they're proposing some sort of action taken by Israel. But we're going to have to see if the ISF will do it or if Israel will do it. But one way or another, disarmament must happen. It's not an option. There's nothing else on the table for Israel.
All right. We'll request you to stay on with us, Sasha, as we also want to tell our viewers that Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelatty has said that Egypt will spare no effort to diffuse any risks of escalation in Lebanon and calls for Israel's complete withdrawal from all Lebanese territory. After a year of ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, the Israeli army still maintains 5 positions in South Lebanon with fortifications and widened access routes. Let's first listen in.
نحن يعني معنيون بشكل كامل باستقرار لبنان وبأهمية الانسحاب الكامل من كل الأراضي اللبنانية وتطبيق القرار الأممي 1701 بكل بنوده وبكل جوانبه ودون انتقائية، وهو ما يتطلب بطبيعة الحال وقف كل الانتهاكات الإسرائيلية للسيادة اللبنانية بكافة صورها وبشكل فوري.
All right, and I want to bring back Sasha into the discussions here. Sasha, firstly, if you could help our viewers understand the position that Egypt is taking, despite the fact that it continues to maintain relations with Israel.
So first of all, this is not going to cause a break between Israel and Egypt relations. This is, of course, a political statement by Sisi and his government to take a firm stance against Israel and their actions in Lebanon. We wouldn't expect anything else. I remind the viewers that many countries in the Middle East, they tend to make harsh statements against Israel in public, but behind closed doors, they cheer on for Israel to take on these jihadic terror groups that are also enemies of Egypt. Egypt has had years of problems with the Muslim Brotherhood, and they've managed to uproot it and to combat it, and Israel is fighting the same enemy and the same ideology. So I wouldn't look too much into this statement by Egypt. Israel is not going to retire their 5 positions from southern Lebanon as Hezbollah continues to build up their forces and rearm faster than they're being disarmed in southern Lebanon. This is, of course, a violation of the ceasefire where Hezbollah was supposed to fully disarm and not have a presence in the southern area of Lebanon beyond the Litani River. This is not the first time they violated this. In the UN resolution 1701, it also stipulated that Hezbollah was not supposed to be present in southern Lebanon, but the UNIFIL troops that were sent and other bodies that were supposed to overlook this were also turning a blind eye, and unfortunately this allowed a situation where Hezbollah was the de facto occupier and ruler of southern Lebanon. And since the war, since the ceasefire entered, Hezbollah has been severely weakened, and there was a compromise by the Lebanese government to actually disarm Hezbollah and for the Lebanese army to uproot Hezbollah and become the actual sovereign army, because the largest army until recently was actually Hezbollah. So Israel is both defending their own citizens of the north who cannot tolerate living next to Hezbollah terrorists who are pointing their rockets and just ready to launch ground invasion, as we saw on October 7th, to northern Israel. And at the same time, the Lebanese people can't live with this occupying force, de facto Iranian occupation. So Israeli actions in Lebanon are going to increase if the Lebanese government does not fulfill their commitment to disarm Hezbollah. And this, of course, is backed by the United States, who reports say are even pushing Israel to take further actions and disarm Hezbollah.
All right, well, thank you, Sasha, for joining us here on NewsX World. For now, we shift our focus